Hi, my name is Plankton, and I'd like to make an apology for an incorrect fact I tried to spell out in the last part where I called the salmonids chub. That's the name of one type, but not the whole package.
It's a mistake that I live with. Every day.
Every fucking day. I'll never be able
Yes,
to
Karen, I get it!
Do me a favor, and if you remember in editing, replace my poor dolphin
I will.
call with an actual dolphin.
Fine. But yeah, so every fucking day I can never look at myself in the mirror the same way again.
My wife
I mean, I
keeps
should have seen it in the name. They're called salmonids. You know, salmon.
Anyway, sorry, Logan.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Just that, yeah. So here I am. Welcome back. Sorry, I had to take a quick bow out that last part. We were taking care of the power stuff. We are going. I'm just making a quick little journey for one of Patrick's many socks, of which I can't. Random thought, but I'm just thinking to myself like, Patrick's socks wouldn't look like actual socks, like, because the socks curve, but that's because our feet curve. Our feet come out at an angle. His feet don't do that.
You know what I'm now reminded of? I forget what episode it is, but I remember an episode where Patrick got a pedicure, and it shows his foot, and it's just like the same stump, but with one giant toenail on it.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't like thinking about that. I don't like thinking about how his hand works either. Anyway, that actually sounds incredible. That looks like a lot of fun. They're flying around like right above us.
Yes, too much fun if you ask me.
Aw, come on. Where's your sense of fun, Mrs. Puff?
Actually, that one looks like he's having an existential crisis right now.
It's like, where's your sense of fun, Mrs. Puff? I lost it in the war, SpongeBob.
I really would believe that. I think she wasn't she in an army at some? Wasn't she like? I remember there was like some episode where like she proved to be like more than like capable like in a fight, or at the very least like endurance or like some sort of espionage thing.
Right.
She definitely knew enough to pull off a freaking like
a car hijacking.
Grand Theft Auto.
I mean, yeah, and I was about to say, maybe that's the whole reason for her whole their whole thing of, this is apparently not, that wouldn't have been her first time to move to a new town with a new name.
Not again. But yeah,
What?
beyond
There you
that,
go.
I realized also my main. Whoa, that kid just went flying. I
Actually,
saw in the back. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
You know, that reminds me, that is like something that I think, maybe not so much a fix, but like a thing I noticed, because like in the original game, if you bubble bash them, they just drop down and just stay where they're at. Like, and
Right, they just land in place, but now they're all being teleported back there.
Yeah. And you know what? It is convenient considering that some of these kiddos you have to save are above the goo. And in the original, like, you pop the balloons and they just fall into the goo.
Yeah. And as I'm showing off there, as much as I would love to, you can't really conveniently use your head bash to actually do platforming with. It is just an uppercut and nothing more.
Right.
Anyway, let me see if I can get this.
The only real improvement, again, like I said in the last part or whatever, like the only real improvement that Rehydrated did is that you can perform it while in midair now, as opposed to literally needing to stand still.
Which is very nice. I almost want to say that was an improvement that started in the SpongeBob movie game.
Did they do that in the movie game?
Do what again?
Yeah, well, I know they had this attack in the movie game. Just instead of the bubble helmet, it was SpongeBob putting on his giant metal like spiky karate. The do you want it to hurt? Kevin?
Right, and I remember there's an upgrade you can do where it can actually stick onto enemies and explode.
Yep. A lot of little things, and again, I have kind of a guilty pleasure for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. I thought it was okay.
Like it's a serviceable sequel. I like a lot of the new stuff that adds in, like the Bubble Mobile and whatnot. It just feels like there's just, I'm trying to think of like the right way to word it, and granted, I think it's because of like the tight deadline in order to coincide with the movie. But I feel like it's not quite as polished in a lot of areas.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not as fleshed out. It's 100 times more linear, and then that ultimately reached its logical extreme with Creature from the Krusty Krab, which is purely linear. And I would argue, in my experiences with the game, some of those levels really drag their heels in the sand as they're trying to like
Honestly,
actually end.
considering you're talking about Creature from the Krusty Krab, I figured a better alternative would have been, and then it reached its logical conclusion with Creature of the Krusty Krab, which is, what are we even doing?
Yeah, well, the plot and like the wacky surrealness of it was fun. I just agree that like some of those levels maybe shouldn't have lasted 2 to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Like some of the ideas are really fun and cool and wacky, and maybe they shouldn't have. Also, we gotta get out of here and move really fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think it. Again, like some horror films and some other movies.
Oops.
Oh, they wouldn't even give me the. They would sometimes you'll get like a eep, like you'll like hop up and down because of a like Mario Lava, and sometimes I guess the developers are like, yeah, we shouldn't give them that freedom. Let's just insta-kill them.
You know what? I'm not gonna say that I blame Purple Lamp entirely, because that's technically something that happens in the original game already.
Correct. Oh yeah.
Although now that I think about
so-
it, I guess I could blame them because they couldn't fix that.
Well, I mean, I imagine there is a developer reason for that. What was it? Black Rock Studios who worked on the original.
Heavy Iron Studios was the
Heavy
studio.
Heavy Iron was the
Same people that also made Night of the Hundred Frights.
And we,
Okay, makes
and we
sense.
all know how that went.
The final boss was it. That and the absurd amount of Scooby snacks that they required at times.
Right, like-
again, like they between that and the shiny things, it's this very weird double standard where like they want a nice casual experience, but then they make it seem like they expect you to play through even after you've taken a nice leisurely pace to beat that level. They want you to like comb and grind it out to find every last little thing.
Right, it's one of those things where it's like, I keep, like, because I remember playing it when I was younger. I remember it used to be not that strict about, like, how, lenient they are with the Scooby snacks. But going through that playthrough, it's like, oh no, they're actually stricter than I remember them being.
Very strict.
I mean, do you remember how much back and forth you did back in your earlier playthroughs?
I know I definitely had to comb through a lot of levels, although, to be fair, like, combing through the levels is also part of, like, just the inherent game design of 900 Frights, because you technically are required to backtrack through levels anyway with the new power-ups.
Right.
I will unlock for myself a new little course, but first I'm gonna come back in here with Patrick with the Frosty Fruit, because that is how I can get the sock over there. Okay, I guess that's as high as it's gonna get.
Yeah. So.
I'm sure you can.
It'll all freeze just the same.
Yeah, I was kind of I jumped because I expected it to start freezing from where I threw the freezer.
I'm actually surprised that goo geyser doesn't freeze as well.
Yeah.
I would like that. And okay, now here we actually gonna need Patrick, because this is where we're gonna be doing another little throw course here.
Going back to Heavy Iron themselves real quick, it's actually kind of funny thinking about it, like how they were the developers of the most critically acclaimed SpongeBob game. Even when you compare that to the rest of their backlog, it kind of makes this seem like a happy accident, because the rest of their games are just okay.
Yeah, because
I really do want to go back and figure out like the history and the making of
Like,
this
I
game.
know they developed the Incredibles game back in like 2004, and then I know later on they did the game adaptation for Truth or Square.
Right, and honestly, that is something that I will say, like, looking back on that game, like, you can have your own opinions if you want the gameplay itself. Like, I can kind of agree that it's a little bit too handholdy in places. I actually feel like the cutscene animations in that are probably some of the best in any of the SpongeBob games, even compared to Rehydrated here.
Squidward bought a new sweater.
So?
Oh, he's so crazy. Ow. And there's a golden spatula.
Gotta
at the
get
end of
there.
this cake.
Oh, look over there.
But enough about the sweater. Golden spatula.
A little shade on
We have to
hot
do
day.
that.
Oh yeah, I believe it's also around here where we'll be finding some lovely little cave paintings that stick true to this game's current nature.
Well, we see, like, a handful of
Yeah.
them over there. Like, there's a jellyfish over there.
Well, there's a jellyfish
Yeah.
over there, but further in we'll find.
Trust me, it's gonna be a little. You'll know when you see it. You'll know when you see it because the thumbnail. But yes,
Well, the
essentially,
thumbnail of the post of the
Of the raw.
this
post comment of our post comment. Like there's one.
There's-
Pat Tog.
yes, the lovable shark.
I think it was
Walrus?
Petar.
Well, Patar was like, are you talking about the teeth? Because I guess those are like a walrus or a
No, if it was a
Or
walrus,
or
like a
they'd be
saber
making-
tooth? More like a boar.
Yeah, like a boar.
Oh,
Because
yeah, I can see that.
if it was a walrus, it'd be hanging down from the upper jaw.
Oh, so it's like a saber tooth.
Kind of.
Oh, no, saber tooth also point down as well.
Yeah, no,
I guess you're right.
I would just say that this is straight up either an elephant or a, or yeah, just a straight up boar.
I think, yeah.
I mean, Patrick's about. I mean, that seems about right, given
Oh.
Patrick's character.
Yep.
Where do you?
I need to
Oh,
get-
that.
Yep, if I come across this way, I believe, which, yeah, the handling is pretty tight, not too slippery, but I want to go this way because I believe there's a switch I can hit to help myself find some other goodies in this little cave. And then we're almost at the end of Goo Lagoon already. This is not a very big map. It's this cave, and then one final little area at the end.
You know, that's something
But
I've
yeah.
noticed, like, when you've been doing, like, a handful of platforming, like, crossing those tikis, for example. That is one thing that I do appreciate Cosmic Shake addressing. It really would have been nice if there was a drop shadow in this remake, because I'm pretty sure there was one in the original.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I see drop shadow here. Okay,
Yeah, well,
I guess
oh.
it depends on the platform, though.
And not that I thought you were talking about the little red X so that you know where to do the head bob. That was not in the original, and I appreciate the. There
Well,
it
technically,
is.
well, I was about to say, like,
The art.
the icons for the head bob technically are in the original as well, they're just a little more faded.
You've just met the Sponginator.
Yes, they knew.
Yeah, a little. You know,
I don't
for
mind
one
it.
named the Sponginator, I didn't expect it to be so primitive.
I don't mind. I don't mind that. How to put it? I guess the most I could say is I'm a little on how people use that meme, but I think it's silly. Like, it's a funny little pose. Those freaking SpongeBob BC specials and the time traveling
it's
episodes
little-
were wild.
Oh yeah, definitely. It just. That whole pose is literally just nothing. It's just a beautiful case of what's the word I'm looking for?
Accidental comedy gold.
Yeah. Because it's essentially just him being so viciously I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
cautious.
he's just being on the alert. He's defensive when Squidward told him they're jellyfishing wrong. You know, when Squidward basically invented the concept of jellyfishing.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why I love the bit when he's gripping him by like just goes.
I mean, he's right.
He-
It's in the history books.
He was a lover, not a fight. Sorry, dude.
I'm going back.
And now this whole area is going to be. By the way, random thought, but you don't see it all the places, but I love that little detail in the top there, where some areas of the sky will have like that, the ripples of water seen from underneath effect, like in the sky.
Yeah.
I like that's a neat little effect.
I mean, it sells the point that, remember, we're still underwater.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they sell it also with like little particles in the air around you, like what are meant to be like little bubbles and things. You don't see it.
Right.
Your eyes don't focus on all that much, but it's a nice little feature. All right, get out of there.
I'd hope they'd at least make sure
Well-
to keep it all relative to what's like where you're at on the screen, as opposed to
Oh,
literally having it
no.
everywhere, because that would really just strain the processors like something else.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Oh,
Oh,
He did it.
okay. I guess I now got,
asks, it was like that when I got here.
well, let Mr. Krabs know that the deed is done.
I believe we need to take it up with the construction workers that this is built on very shoddily established establishments.
Well, this is also the first time that I believe they've ever actually, how to put this? I think this is also the first time they've ever tried to actually confirm if Mr. Krabs is the one who owns the Goo Lagoon Pier.
I mean, it does seem like a scam he would do.
Yeah. Which means now I can
especially
actually...
with all this week board work.
Can you believe it? And I even got it at a steal of a price right before Valentine's Day.
And I didn't even have to spend all my quarters.
No, just there's a lot of fun little bits. Freaking, I'm still thinking.
Would you
of the
imagine
way-
Mr. Krabs being the kind of cheap ass who would literally pay for all this for like a shit ton of pennies?
Probably.
Yeah, no, I could 100% see him as the guy who would collect every single penny, calculate, so that when it came time to like make a purchase of $100, he said, "Great, can you accept it in pennies?" And it's just a tanker full of pennies.
And what's funny is that like he doesn't even give the guy time to respond.
this.
Yeah.
That's one thing you could do. I was about to
Yeah,
say.
no, I think both the original and in the Rehydrated, you could totally do it like that.
Yeah,
It's
you
just so
could.
much easier.
And you just need to. Oh, I just need to hit this, break this last one, wait for it to come out, and then I'll be able to get the sock. Here we go. Give it. Alright, back to you, Hype.
I was just saying, honestly, I can see that being a gag, and, like, he doesn't even give the guy time to, like, respond. He just goes, "Great, thanks, laddie," and just dashes off.
Just hurries away, scurries away. Alright. So, in turn now, and I guess
Oh, boy.
I really do apologize if these first videos have been seeming a bit slow in terms of these areas. It's a little odd in that, like, I actually think the tiers of where we're going to, like, these levels will start to become a little bit not shorter, but they'll become a little bit faster to complete as I move forward through the area and like get new abilities and things.
Right, because, like, a
funny
lot of
thing-
the stuff you have to get in these do technically require a little bit of backtracking.
Ouch. Just need to get off of this. Okay, I had my fun. But maybe it's because with these, it's only with these first couple levels that they have more like distraction things. Like hear me on that. Like these first levels have had more little nooks and crannies that don't immediately reward
keep
you
on for
with a golden spatula. They just give you
Socks.
all they do is they just give you some socks or shiny things. Whereas in later levels, they become a little bit more linear. Maybe I don't know if that's why. Alright. This is not water. This is ice.
Well, technically,
for
ice is
and
frozen
go.
water. Whoop!
There we go. Perfect. We got another sock for taking out that generator. But yeah, no. Otherwise, so far, I mean, this is the final area. Once I can clear this place out, and yes, again, there's gonna be some backtracking I'll have to do once I get all of my powers and all of these. That's the other thing, because some of these bus stops won't let you like swap out to another character until like a later point. Like sometimes you are stuck as SpongeBob or Patrick, and then if you come back to another area later, then you can be. I can't bungee jump. That was the part I realized. I forgot. Only SpongeBob can bungee jump. I heard a ski coming from over here, but I'm sure it's nothing. There we go. And leave.
Probably just the little clams.
I don't know why, but I would have liked that if it was like an add detail of like every time like you hear the snap from the other pants, you just hear like an occasional "Ooh!"
Cheeky. I can't finish that thought. Anywho, let's head down this slide a little bit.
Jeepers.
That's it.
Ow.
There's a speedrunning tech I'd love to do, but I don't want to do it. Also, yes, I have to remind myself, even when you're flashing, you don't have iframes. You are still taking damage at any possible time, so be very mindful. Get the big one. Yay.
Nice.
Which honestly, like if you have no iframes, then what's the point of the flashing?
I don't know, actually. Like, I imagine it had to... Okay, Patrick time. I imagine it had to involve, like, maybe in the original game it did. I don't know. I don't believe there's been any other, like, I don't believe since I recorded this, I don't believe there's been any real substantial patch.
Well, I imagine not.
update since then.
I imagine not, since they are working on Cosmic Shake at the moment. It would seem kind of pointless.
That and
Right.
Rehydrated's already been out for a couple years now.
Right, I just mean, like, I don't think there's been any other big substantial changes to the game, any, like, updates or, like, oh, here's a feature.
I don't think SpongeBob's underwear fits quite right.
Not for you, and
Is your reward.
there.
Well,
Thank
just like that, no real fanfare. Thanks, Mr.
I can
Krabs.
only imagine he's like, with every word I say to this pink starfish, the damage rates of my insurance goes up higher and higher.
You talk funny.
Get in the box. Alright, now there's just one last puzzle I need to do, which is going to evolve the Freezy Fruit. And, yes, I know I
That's
can
just
use
a
that to go
shortcut.
back, but I want to be damaging and god near chaotic to the ecosystem.
Yep, freeze the son of a bitch.
The entire ocean is frozen for 17 seconds, and there's some poor schmuck who's swimming in it right now.
Sorry, Mr. Ecosystem, but I lost my sock.
Reset that. He's just out and it freeze over after freezing over.
Well,
That's
that's
double
eventually.
freeze.
Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's just that. But it's important that I get this, because now I can gloat.
Mr. Krabs said I should freeze the goo for gold. I didn't quite understand what he meant when he said that, but,
I'll never one day learn what that sweaty old man was trying to tell me. Just the look in his face of... Anywho. Yeah, I will admit there's Goo Lagoon is not one of my favorite levels. Let's be honest and say that right now. There we go. Now we got a little shortcut to get to either side of this area, and SpongeBob can finally finish the quest and get the sunscreen back.
That's right. This whole thing was just.
Although, fun fact.
What was it?
I believe this works in the original game as well. The solution to beating this puzzle, at least like in the original game, and I believe it works the same way here as well. The trigger for the quest being beaten is not you hitting that switch. It's just if that guy gets blown up. Like
Right.
at any moment, if you kill that guy with any other thing, that can solve the mission, which I
Right.
believe means you could technically use the cruise bubble. I believe.
You could.
Yeah, but that's a little late. That's literally late game. So I mean, do it now. Like do it now early enough, or just wait till the very end to just make that a whole cakewalk.
I mean, yeah. Bear in mind, I am like well ahead of what the game thinks I should be having right now in terms of golden spatulas. So don't you fret. So with that, I believe it is now time in the next part to finally leave the neighborhood and get a move on into the second tier of levels where things start to get a little more ramped up in intensity.
We'll see you all next time as we make our way to Uptown Bikini Bottom. But first, a pay-per-view showing of SpongeBob and SquarePants versus SpongeBob and SquarePants. Good night, everybody.
We are leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving.
To the Poseidon!